when you get to the end of a process and you have your 3 final candidates, you can have a multi-compare view of that same scorecard. So if you dig into your final 3 candidates, you'll see and you select the checkbox next to their name, you'll see a little compare that shows up here. You click that compare feature, and you will see that same scorecard view, but this time across the top, it's not different interviewers or different data collection methods. It's actually different candidates. In this case, your top 3 candidates. You see their overall score, which is aggregated across the entirety of the hiring process and all information that was collected. But you also have a view into the scorecard view by attributes or by screening steps. So by attributes, you see those same attribute buckets, and you can drill into how each of these 3 candidates scored across the ideal attributes. This is a great way to immediately visualize where candidates are strong or weak, particularly in relation to each other. So Eliza, where she was really weak was in problem solving, and that's where Jahar really shined. And if you want to drill into why, you can still do that. It was the work sample. That's where Jahar just did an amazing job on that work sample, and this is how Angela scored Jahar on the work sample. But on the flip side, Marie and Eliza really did well on reliability, and that's an area of weakness for Jahar. So this gives you a very good, powerful, data-driven visual way to compare candidates side by side across the traits that matter to you, as well as across the screening steps. So if you click over here to screening steps, same view of the data, except this time you're looking at it based on how each candidate did across the steps. So the pre-screen, Eliza got a 4, Jahar and Maria's scores were lower, but the phone screen scores were much more similar. And lastly, in the interview, you can dive into what the different interviewer steps down to the question level and see how different candidates, side by side compared to each other when it came to their scores for these different steps, in this case, even down to the interview question itself. One last cool thing I would highlight is that you'll notice in this multi-compare candidate by candidate scorecard, you actually can't see the interviewer view of the data like you could in the individual scorecard. So how we handle this is if you click on the notes here, you'll actually be able to see a breakdown of any interviewer and how they evaluated this question. So tell me about a time you experienced burnout. Spencer and Angela both scored the candidate on this question. You can see their notes. You can see what their scores were. This is done at the screening step level. And if you go back to the attributes measured level, you can see the same thing on attributes. So you can dive into any interviewer that evaluated this candidate on communication skills. Spencer gave them a 5 and a 4 on work experience. Angela gave the candidate a 4.5 and a 4.5 on work experience. And you can actually access their notes as well.